the Green Bay Packers. And Parsons had a great quote where he was like, we've lost 3 games and our defense hasn't given up more than 16 points in any of those games. The problem is, though, your offense has been so bad in those games that you still lost them. Your offense can truly disappear and be completely useless at times. And hey, we called it. Ken and I were so great at our picks last week that the only ones we got wrong were the ones that we agreed on. Really embarrassing. I think he was like 4-2. I was 4-2. And the 2 we each got wrong. Chargers -3, which they didn't even show up. That doesn't count. All right. And then Texans -7, who also, like, they had 4 opportunities to score touchdowns and never converted. Anyways, that's me whining and being miserable. Dr. Ken, welcome back. Thanks for being here, suffering through misery with us.
Thanks for having me back. I got to tell you, I really appreciate that Chargers game, because when you're going to lose, you want to know right away, and you want to have no worries about it, and you don't want to have to watch the second half. And that's definitely where we were at, man. That was, who was it? There was somebody, I saw like the fantasy thing where it's like, it might have been Christian McCaffrey or someone like outscored their whole offense in fantasy points, like something insane like that. No, it was a rough one.
The Chargers were just looking for, they clocked in their bye a week early. I'm looking forward to the return, to the Marion Hampton return next week. So anyways,
I like that you think he's coming back that soon.
They said it. He was already working out last week.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
I just saw one report that's like, it may be later than after the bye. So
don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Yeah, I had something else and that's all gone. Don't worry. This part will get clipped. All right. So we were going to kick off our show back with some more overrated and underrated, mostly because Ken and I like to do this. So kind of just looking at the teams, where they stand, what the media news around it is. Our team overhyped, underhyped, and you're going to be disappointed if you're a fan of them, or you're going to be pumped at the end of the year. And I'm going to start off easy on this one. I know I said I wasn't going to, but it's the talk of the town. Shedeur Sanders playing for the Browns. Most overhyped news there is. We'll cover this more later, but 100% it's going to be a massive, massive flop. You can book that I said it now.
Hey, he hasn't had any reps with the starters. Maybe you didn't hear that.
It's all anyone ever said. The funniest tweet was Pat Thorman coming out, and after Shedeur was robbed, said, well, maybe they would have caught the guy if Shedeur had any, reps with the starters, because there was no catches otherwise. Anyways. So you go ahead.
One note on that one. I said it from the beginning. Phil, it's in our group chat. You can see it. You don't put him, a 5th round rookie, as like the second string backup to a 3rd string or a 3rd round rookie. All of them need their reps, but you also just don't want to throw somebody in the game who is like clearly not ready. When you want to see Shedeur, it's when he has a week of preparation with his team, and like knowing he's going to play, because that was completely awful. It was difficult to watch. Yeah, he completed his first 2 passes. Then after that, he was like 2 of 14, and there's an interception in there. Had a few like throws that physically looked good, but man, it was a hard game to watch, and it was pretty telling. As soon as he was in, it's like, this is not going to go well.
Speaking about vets who should be able to step in, Bailey Zappi would be the vet that you're referencing, right? Because he's on the Browns practice squad, has been exposed. I don't know if you remember.
I would prefer. Sorry,
he had in his first NFL time, he subbed in at halftime for Mac Jones, who was playing like trash against the Packers, and forced overtime, going 10 of 15 for 99 yards and a touchdown. This whole garbage of you need the first team reps. Bailey Zappi was an undrafted free agent who didn't get those reps and actually played well against a pretty good team back in 2022. Just throwing it out there.
Okay, I'm saying that it's better. It's
not for you. That is for everyone else who is like, man, if he would have had those reps, 8 of 16 maybe.
But that's the thing, what are we really talking about? Like, what is the expectation? He's not, really, it's like, hey, maybe he can lead 2 scoring drives in a half. And I'm talking about like 2 field goal scoring drives and not force a turnover. And now you're just talking about Dylan Gabriel again.
Yeah, but one of Shedeur's completions on that drive will be 15 yards, something we will never see Gabriel accomplish in his career. Anyways, all right, I cherry picked. I took the easy one. The overrated is the fact, and that's just media hype on Shedeur Sanders. Anyways, you can go up. Who do you think's overrated, underrated, whatever?
Let's stick with that same game. And I have the Baltimore Ravens as overrated. They have not been healthy all year. The offense has just not yet clicked the way it has in the past. Lamar has just not looked like Lamar yet. It's kind of getting the question, like, I don't think Derrick Henry lost a step or anything like that, but he still isn't quite like, he's not getting these 200-yard games. And I think that's more that the offense just isn't quite there. Lamar, I don't think he's hitting that second gear that he just has in the past. And the defense is getting a little bit healthier, but they just haven't looked. I still think that they're being priced more like the Super Bowl contender. I think they had the 8th highest Super Bowl rating. They still weren't quite, or they're still in the higher end of those. I just think that they're looking more like a team that should be happy to get into the playoffs and really be happy that they're in a bad division, because besides that, you just haven't seen it from them.
So the only reason I'm against you on Baltimore is because they have a guy named Lamar Jackson. When he's playing, it's like if you said the Bills are overrated, I'm like, yeah, they can be overrated, but Josh Allen can also score 44 points in a game all by himself. And I believe Lamar Jackson has that same superpower. Only reason I can't agree with you. Also, they have this easy path to the playoffs because the Steelers are the teams currently in first in the division. And guys, the Steelers are going to be one of my overrated teams. I keep talking about it. I'll give it to you. They have a couple good wins. They actually looked really good against the Bengals. They held their offense down, which was a shock. But then they got humiliated by Chargers 2 weeks ago, and then they had the win versus Indy. So just up and down recently. They're hitting the hard part of their schedule, though. They will go Chicago this week, which isn't hard, but Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami's a break into Detroit. So 3 or 4 games in a row is just going to be a tough battle. And their offense is a joke. Kenny Gainwell was their leading receiver last week, followed by Darnell Washington. Guys, it's not there. Mason Rudolph might be the one throw into players now. The offense, like I said, it's flat. It doesn't have much to it. Jalen Warren is nice, but that's it. And then defensively, they're just not locked down. They played good against the Bengals, like I said, but I'm not buying for them to be consistent week after week, because they just let the Chargers walk all over them. So completely out on the Steelers, and good for the Ravens. They'll sneak in the playoffs, but Ken said they'll be out the first round.
So where is this Darnell Washington hate coming from? What are you talking about?
Whoa. I'm just saying, if your left tackle is your second leading receiver, you have a big problem.
Which is funny because DK Metcalf is tight end size, but he's out playing receiver. And then they don't have anyone else.
I feel like we need to recreate that picture from DK Metcalf coming out of college. I think it's DK next to AJ Brown, and DK is twice his size. Now let's put DK next to Darnell Washington.
But you're completely right. The oddest thing is this defense just has not looked as good as it has in the past. And usually it's just hey, it's Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It's just good. And yeah, they have rotating parts of who does good. And it just doesn't seem like it's all there. Yeah, they put it together. Like you said, great game against the Colts. They had a good game against the Bengals. That's in the division. Sometimes that just happens. All together for the year, teams have really ran all over them. So I agree. And Aaron Rodgers is the whole injury. It's oh, it's just a slight fracture. No, guys, it's a wrist fracture, and it's not a pain tolerance issue with that. It's actually a stability one. So when you hear that, that means that he needs some type of a cast, and that brace. It's going to be a super thick brace, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I'd be very interested to actually see that the x-ray, but I don't think that this is something that, he has a pretty decent schedule left. Hey, the record isn't horrible. I think the best way to go for it is have him out for 3 to 4 weeks. And I just think
so listen, all I heard from you is we're going to get a JPP club on Aaron Rodgers' left hand at quarterback. That's what I would love to see.
Unfortunately, that's not super far off from what's going to happen. But then, if this is a guy he's older, he doesn't have the mobility that he used to. And then as soon as the ball, it's in a cold day, slips out of his hands because he's getting tackled and he doesn't have a left hand, people are going to be like, oh, what's going on there? He's lost it. No, he broke his hand, or he broke his wrist.
It's arthritis in his left wrist. I get it, Ken.
Todd Gurley's like, I feel you there, man.
All right, what's your next team?
All right. So I know not like the hottest take coming off of a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, but it's the Detroit Lions, and they just haven't looked like that same dominant team that they have been in the past. They've done a good job of being up on bad teams, but like the intermediate ones and really any road game has not looked good for that offense. I think that they really are missing Ben Johnson. I don't like that Sam Laporta's just went on IR for back pain. That's not certainly a good start for a tight end. It's, you need your back out there. He's not putting his back into it. Yeah, the whole running scheme just hasn't been the same. Their offensive line is not the same. And their defensively, they looked good this last week, but that's, I think, more that the Eagles offense is just looking lost. They're still a good team, and they're at 6-4. And I just don't think that they should be in that talk of the upper echelon, like NFC. It shouldn't be, Eagles, Rams, Lions, and they have the sixth best odds for the Super Bowl total. And I just think that's way too high.
To your point, there's two teams, though. There's home Detroit Lions and road Detroit Lions, right? Everyone knows if you're at home, Jared Goff doesn't have to deal with the elements, and he is like 5 times a better player than he is on the road. So for the next 3 weeks, we will get good Jared Goff because it's home Giants, home Packers, home Cowboys. They could be looking at 9-4. But then again, to your point, the end of the year was 3 road games in LA, in Minnesota, in Chicago. Could fall off quickly after, just a real quick roller coaster ride for the Lions, who might be looking more at a wild card than division due to that season end.
I think so. I think like betting on them to not win the division in 3 weeks when they're 9-4 or 8-5 will probably look like a good bet.
All right. My next team is underrated, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. They are finally healthy offensively, and they have looked unstoppable. I know I just jinxed it, and George Kittle's ankle's going to pop in like 30 seconds. But against the Rams, they were actually unstoppable. We mentioned it. They had 2 fumbles going into the red zone in the first half of that game. And then it was just a 2-touchdown deficit because their defense has been that bad. Against the Cardinals, they moved the ball at will up and down the field. And then they just started settling for long field goals because they stopped trying as hard because they were up by so much. Now, why are they underrated? Because they get the Panthers this week, Browns next week, Titans the week after. 3 available wins. This team's going to be 10-4 with some roughness at the very end in their last 3 games. But they'll be 10-4 with a top 5 offense. And the offense hasn't mattered who's there, and now they're at full strength. So just excited for Kyle Shanahan to like reassert himself. It's like, guys, I'm a great offensive mind, and we got Robert Saleh. There's a reason the Jets fired him over here leading the defense, and that's our problem. Just kidding. That one's injuries. All right, that was a joke. Take it easy. Anyways, so I love the 49ers. Going to continue betting them all the time, except for this week.
So Brock Purdy coming back, the fact that he can push off of his foot and it didn't look like the toe was bothering him, clearly had no problem. He stayed in the game this whole time. By the way, fantasy game, I played against Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and their kicker. And yet my buddy Danny completely destroyed me. But you're just are completely forgetting about one half of their team. Their defense is still completely destroyed on injuries. They have, 2 or 3 like Pro Bowl to all pro talents that are just gone. Everything from their defensive backs are decimated. They're, missing Fred Warner and anyone.
Nick Bosa
as well. I just feel like once they start playing good offenses, they don't have a defense, and it's just going to catch up to them eventually.
But sometimes you don't need a defense. Joe Burrow didn't need a defense, and now we're moving Brock Purdy up into that conversation of Joe Burrow-esque guys. Misses half the year and puts up a bunch of points, thanks to his all-pro players. Anyways, that Joe Purdy is not on Burrow's level. He hasn't beaten Mahomes.
By the way, Mac Jones did everything you'd want from a backup. Came in, it's like, it showed functionality in the offense and is going to make some money this offseason. So good for him.
All right, real quick question. Are the Browns getting Mac Jones next year?
I think we're still paying Deshaun Watson next year. So maybe the year after that.
We'll do a 3 years, $100 million deal, but it'll be like $1 million in the first year like Watson's was.
I don't think we would do that.
Man, You just give Watson 1 million in the very first year and 85 in the last. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't
He'll
know.
be
Probably.
due for a restructuring, and you can prorate it. Oh man, the Browns. Well, however bad you think your situation is, currently the Browns is worst. All right,
When Moneyball leaves your team, you know you're in trouble.
for the Rockies, it's like, dude, you got dumped, and the guy was like, "Hey, it's going to be way worse for me. I don't even know what kind of comparison I could do for like I'm trading down from the bottom to worse than the bottom." Anyways, all right, so you're up. What else you got?
So my other underrated team is the exact opposite of the San Francisco 49ers. It's the Houston Texans. They finally started to get something of that looked like an offense out there. And of course, CJ Stroud gets oh my God, is he going to miss 3 games with this concussion? Or miss like 2
It's
and a
really
half?
because of like, it's because it's a short week. So
Yeah, but he's missing multiple weeks because of this concussion. But besides that, I mean, their offense started to look like an actual offense. They're like, Nick Chubb, thank you for your services, but we're going to let Woody Marks do his thing. Nico Collins looks good. And then their 2 rookie receivers started to look like they're just playing in the NFL. Offense is starting to kind of kick in, but it's really their defense. Houston has been saying it all year, top 3 defense out there. And just with that, they can play with anyone. So I really think that this team just might not be the prettiest to watch, but if this offense just kind of takes like a next step up, they can just make, a run at this interesting. Unfortunately, like we talked about last week, in a super, super heavy loaded like playoff teams, like 5-5, really looks like a far way out of the playoffs in the AFC if you don't have Pat Mahomes.
Next up, I harassed them last week and the week before, and I'm never going to stop. The Green Bay Packers. Micah Parsons had a great quote where he was like, "We've lost 3 games, and our defense hasn't given up more than 16 points in any of those games." And he's 100% right. Like, the problem is, though, your offense has been so bad in those games that you still lost them. Like, your offense can truly disappear and be completely useless at times. It was the Browns you lost to, the Panthers, and the Eagles. Like, those ain't great offenses that you should be proud to have held down. Their defenses are pretty good. Makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen this week against Minnesota, who has a competent defense. Are they going to hold you down too? And it's going to be 10-3. Anyways, they have a rough schedule to end the year. Detroit, Chicago twice, Denver, Baltimore, Minnesota twice. Like, it's just all those teams that play 50-50 games and have been on the right side of them. I just can't buy this offense. I can't buy LaFleur. Now that Josh Jacobs, I don't know what the prognosis is there. I just know he left the game last week. I mean, Jameis Winston and Tyrone Tracy almost beat these guys. It's. I don't think it's great in Packerland, and I wish they were better. Their defense, like, I want Michael Parsons to be successful because, like, anti-Cowboy stuff, but that's it. Anyways,
that's a little disrespect to Jameis Wilson and Tyrone Tracy. I like both those players. Those are some
they're not
Jackson.
They're not Jackson Dart and Cam Scatteraboo.
Not even close.
Anyways, do you have any more? I got one more.
Nope, all you.
All right, wrapping it up. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how they have done some of this voodoo magic that they've pulled off, but they have some pretty impressive wins underneath their belt. Loading it up right now. So they beat San Fran, they beat KC, they beat the Chargers. Those are 3 of their last 4 victories. I skipped over the Raiders, who they barely beat 30-29. That was the Raiders went for 2 instead of forcing overtime or going for the tie in overtime. I can't remember which.
Tie in overtime.
Yeah. I just don't know how this team has done what they have done to win these games. Like, humiliate the Chargers, get a pick 6 against KC, and then the lucky Trevor Lawrence play. It's just, I don't respect what they have at all. Travis Hunter's out, and he wasn't even looking like he was worth it as a number 2 overall pick. Their defense doesn't look great, but it still stops people randomly. It's just very inconsistent. I will say they have an excellent run game. Liam Cohen carried that over from the Buccaneers to the Jags. But Trevor Lawrence has 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on the year. Their assets have gone into the passing game, and it just has not been worth it. So I don't think if you're spending money places and you're not getting value out of it, you can be successful. A couple of tough matchups to end the year. It's hard for me to see this team just staying in the playoffs. So I am just out on them 100%.
Well, you're missing a really key factor that with them is the reason why they keep winning games is because the Browns get their first round pick this year. So the one year that the Jags aren't drafting in the top 10, the Browns are going to get like a solid, like, I'm going to say like 18 to 22 pick. Probably like 15 to 20. Yes,
It's
I
all right.
agree.
The
I
Browns
agree.
don't need better than a 5th-round pick to find their next QB. I'm just saying.
But as we'll get into as our picks, I completely agree with you. I don't know. Every game they do something that's like looks good that they haven't been able to do all year, whether it's stopping a run or getting turnovers on games. It feels like every single game with them is just a whole entirely isolated year. It's so weird, but I do not think that it's sustainable, and I don't think they can do it twice in a row.
Let's get to it. The reason people show up to this show, we called it for a reason, right? Because we call our picks out there, and we are 4-2 on joint picks since we started 2 shows ago. And we're going to pick up right where we left off. 3 more good ones coming in. Sorry about the 1-2 last week, but I honestly will say if I had to go back in time, I would still take the Chargers -3 and the Texans -7. I think those were fluky losses. So first one I'm bringing up, I don't know if this is your best pick, but it's 100% mine. We were laughing about it. Here they are. Browns versus the Raiders. We are taking the Raiders -3. And the bottom line here is Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback for the Browns. Their offense was already atrocious. I don't think it's going to be any better. The man takes huge sacks, and now Max Crosby's chasing him down. And then defensively, the Browns, I think they'll cause a lot of problems for Geno Smith and the Raiders. But I think this is a game that Pete Carroll is going to know and understand. It's like, I don't need to be successful. I don't need to do things right here. I just need to wait for Shedeur Sanders to hand me the victory. So not going to push the tempo. Neither will the Browns. Under 36.5. Raiders -3. My biggest fear here is that Geno Smith is worse than Shedeur Sanders, which we saw a couple times happen this year when he was just like minus or like 3 or 4 interceptions in a game without completions.
Yeah. So sometimes this Raiders offense, like the pieces on it look pretty good. Like Ashton Genty looks okay. Brock Bowers looks really good. I'm not even going to talk about Trey Tucker's 4-touchdown game. Like, I don't even know what that was. But the one interesting thing that I see here, did you see? I didn't realize that the Raiders rush defense is second in rush yards per attempt. Like, is that a typo? Is it actually that good?
Yeah, they've actually been very, very good against the run. Only against the run.
Well, I think that's all we have for the Browns, but I don't. Our defense has not traveled well. It's still good, but it's not nearly as elite as it is when it's at home. Yes, Geno Smith's going to make some mistakes. This is going to be an ugly game. And yeah, I would be interested in the under if it wasn't 36.5. Man, that is a very, very small number. But I agree. I just think it's a matter of time before the Raiders don't lose the game. I don't want to say that they're going to beat us. They're just not going to lose. But no, I'm in with you. Raiders -3.
I know Moneyball left the building, but his philosophy is still there. The Browns will be tanking. So there we go. All right, next up, going to the less interesting of our 2 last picks. Giants at Lions. We said it. Jared Goff is playing at home. Dan Campbell loves to run up the score. I think they're going to come out and they're just going to absolutely stomp the Giants. I don't care if they stick with Jameis. I don't care if they bring in Russell Wilson. Either way, the Giants offense is not going to have enough pop to keep up with the Lions. And like I said, Lions are just going to crush them.
So you're positive Dart's not playing?
Even if Dart's playing, I don't care.
I think it's Dart or Jameis. I kind of want it to be Jameis because it sounds like more fun.
I mean, you're the expert on medical. I mean, this is a Dart concussion, and I've seen him try to get concussions in weeks past.
Well, it all depends on if he's had any symptoms up until really tomorrow. So the one nice thing about it is with the concussion protocol, you'll know by Thursday if they have a realistic chance or they're just out. Most of the people come back at between I think it's 70 to 80% only miss 1 week. So be interesting to see. I just don't know if they're just like, hey, we have a new coach. There's no rush to get this rookie back out there and just throw Jameis out again. He looked all right, but it's the second game with Jameis. That's going to be some nice, cool, like pick six for the Lions or 2 interceptions because that's just kind of what he does. But I really think this is a lot more to do with it. Lions are getting just a rebound game back at home. Dan Campbell rebounds. He just doesn't lose like 2 games in a row. They're going to come back, and when they beat these teams, they beat them handedly. So I think that you're going to see a lot more of like Lions just, hey, we're going to ball control. We're going to Dave Montgomery might get 15 carries this game, and they're just going to completely own this game. It's going to be very one-sided. I hope the score reflects that.
Yeah, minus 10.5. Like, I took a big spread last week with the Patriots, minus 12.5. Once it gets 13, that's when I start to worry. But I don't know. It just feels like blowouts are happening this year. So moving on, next pick, guys. I get to do it. It looks like this is backwards. It says Rams at Buccaneers. Is the Rams at home?
The Rams are at home.
Yep. All right, cool. Sorry about that. Backwards. Which makes it all more favorable to pick the Rams in this one. I get to bet against Baker. It's a big game. He played pretty well. Or actually, Sean Tucker carried them against the Bills, and then the passing game fell flat. I know it's been injury riddled. To not have Mike Evans, to not have Chris Godwin, not have Jalen McMillan, and it's been tough. And now I think the Rams come out. They just played a good defensive game against the Seahawks. They're just going to stifle the Buccaneers, and then Matt Stafford gets a huge rebound and lights up the Buccaneers defense, which I don't think is that good. It's had a couple good performances, but it's not a great defense. They're 25th in yards per pass allowed.
I think it's not even in the same ballpark as the Seahawks defense. And this is a little bit of a rebound game for the Rams. They really, Sam Darnold was like, please blow us out. You messed up. It's okay. Here's the ball back again. And I think that their offense is just going to be like, hey, this is a reboot game, and I think this Buccaneers defense is that tight. The Buccaneers defense, it looks really good when it can stop the run with Vita Vea, and they're like, the Rams are like, hey, we do not care about that. We can just throw to Puka and Devontae Adams, and I'm just really liking that combination. I think that the question is like, do the Rams settle for field goals, or do they actually punch it in? I think that they're going to just completely run over this Buccaneers defense. And this offense can only keep it up for so long. Once they play an elite defense, some like top 5 defense in the league, then you're going to start to see it's like, hey, we can only do so much out there with our limited playmakers. Ibuka looks great. I know their run games looked all right, but it's not going to be there forever.
Yeah, Ibuka's had a tough time since he's the only guy left on that team. Yeah. Anyways, if we had to rank them, I think Rams is number 1, Raiders number 2, and Detroit number 3. If people want to get real picky, we just did it in any order we want.
We needed to talk about the Browns first. That's fine.
That's the bottom line. Talked about Shador earlier. Can't stop talking about Browns. All right, now we can get to our individual picks, and we're going to go first off to Vikings at Packers. We each have a pick, but going a little bit different ways. I have Vikings plus 6.5 in Green Bay, and you have the under at 40.5. Bottom line is, I talked about it before, the Packers offense isn't good, and Brian Flores is an excellent defensive coordinator. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems for a team, and it's either going to have Josh Jacobs banged up, or they're not going to have Josh Jacobs at all. And without a running back who can get them an extra yard per carry on the ground, I think the Packers are going to have a lot of trouble setting up their play action, which is what LaFleur uses and thrives especially on to create his deep shots. I just don't see the Packers having a highly productive day offensively, and I don't care that JJ McCarthy is playing for the Vikings at this moment. I think the more reps he gets, it's better. Going the Shador take there, but I think it's better for Kevin O'Connell to see what he can and can't do, and to start to realize, hey, Justin Jefferson is really upset. Maybe we should throw him the ball a lot more than we are, because I've seen way too many incompletions to Jordan Addison on big plays. Let's get it to Justin Jefferson to make things happen. Also, Aaron Jones He's actually looked really, really good. So happy he's been back and playing good football. I hope the Vikings can turn it around. I like it when they're relevant and playing good because there's got a lot of players I like. Hey,
Yeah, no,
look at that. I didn't update
this is
this. My bad.
this is the first time that Justin Jefferson's been mad with a quarterback, and I think that should tell you something. Uh, and that, I mean, Kirk Cousins. I mean, after he got hurt, I mean, he really didn't have tons of people throwing him the ball. But I agree with a lot of what you said. The Packers defense is good, and it does not get turnovers. It does not get humongous big plays. And that's why I agree with you, but I also wanted to fade JJ McCarthy because there's no reason to like him. So I'm just going with the under. I think that this is going to be kind of a slow, boring game. JJ McCarthy's been, a bit conservative. Yeah, he's had a couple turnovers, but they're definitely like later on in games or towards the end of a half. I just think that you're not. This is going to just be an ugly game to watch. Both of these offenses just lack it. There's plenty of playmakers on them, but they just lack everything. And without Josh Jacobs, I really think that the Packers struggle. So I don't hate the +6.5. I just like the under 40 more.
All right. Next up, I mentioned it when I was saying how underrated the 49ers are, and that's because I'm taking Carolina +7. This is one of the games where I think they're not overrated, but I think the Panthers are undervalued by Vegas. Dave Canales has done an excellent job, I think, in coaching this team and making them play just the right way offensively to produce wins. Early in the year, it's like, what are you doing? You're always down 30, and then you're always fighting to come back. And then we saw last week, Canales really put the ball into Bryce Young's hands. He's like, dude, Rico Dowdle has made everyone terrified of our rushing attack. It's your turn, Bryce Young, to come through and save this team offensively, and he did it. A lot of great throws down the sideline to Xavier Legette for a big touchdown, working the middle of the field with Tet McMillan, and then just having smart play calling to create opportunities. I think their touchdown scoring drive, Rico Dowdle, it was a sneaky screen that got them in scoring range or into the red zone. So Connor has talked up the Panthers so much, and the more I've watched them recently, the more excited I've been for them. And then the 49ers, we said they can't stop a sieve like the sieve or whatever the expression is. So 49ers, the defense isn't there. It's too beat up, and now you have to go against Tet McMillan, who's slowly but surely becoming one of the top receivers in the NFL. Double, triple him, and hey, he will be the next receiver that we are 100% sure is like what's it called? An elite receiver. The T
So
Higgins
you're already
line.
saying that Tet
No,
is.
no, he's not better than T Higgins yet, but by the end of next year, he will be.
You think he'll be there
in
with
that.
like Justin Jefferson and like CeeDee Lamb
Whoa,
and
whoa,
Jamar
whoa,
Chase?
whoa!
You
The
said
T
elite.
Higgins line. Yeah, remember the T Higgins was the last one in on the line, and he will be in there. All right. I would think more like a Drake London, honestly. I love Drake London.
That's a big
FYI.
one. Drake London's looked really good. He's just had bad quarterback play, and we'll continue to see that.
Hey, Tet with Bryce Young. I said give him one more year and he'll be in there. But
Okay,
he's still going to be producing well. Anyways, Rico Dowdle threatened the 49ers run defense. Tet McMillan drawing a lot of attention. I'm excited to see what the Panthers do and how they make it happen. And then as for the 49ers, this is just a classic spot where I think Kyle Shanahan, it's going to be close, and he will settle for field goals more than he should. They'll still win the game, but it's just going to be one of those that it's like this game should be closer. Is closer than it should be because on 4th and 3 at the 20, they kicked a field goal. San Fran kicked a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown or trying to make touchdown happen. I'm in on the Panthers. I wish I could say this is a game they're going to win. I really want them to win the NFC South ahead of the Buccaneers, but I just don't think that's going to be, shown up in this game.
I don't disagree with you. I think the the Panthers are interesting. I just don't see that offense cooking for 2 weeks in a row. I just don't. I mean, Bryce Young, like he had 400 something yards, and he's barely touched 300. I think he's only gone over like 300 like twice this year, and a few times last year. But it's tough. I'm not jumping all in on it. Anyone on their offense besides Rico Dowdle just yet. I like Tet, but I just don't think that the whole pass offense is there. But the 49ers do not have a defense, as I mentioned before. So I think that the +7 is just a big number to have. So I like the number. I just don't know exactly how close it's going to be.
All right. Let's let you do some talking now. Eagles at Cowboys. You have under 47.5.
This is simple. Some people think that the Eagles are the best team in the NFL and a Super Bowl contender and the best team in the NFC and all this fun stuff. And they don't have an offense. They have tons of players on this offense, and it's just looked dysfunctional. I think Jalen Hurts threw for like 135 yards last week, and it's looked awful. Them just force feeding AJ Brown the ball with these like 6-yard slants. There was just nothing explosive going on. They have Saquon, who is one of the most explosive backs in the league, and they just cannot get him into space. It has just looked just dysfunctional. And yes, their defense is going to slow down the Cowboys because that's just what good defenses do. And I think that this is just going to be an ugly game. I don't think it's going to be fun to watch because the Eagles haven't been fun to watch. And I think they'll win, but I think it'll be close. And I just think 47.5 is too big of a number.
The thing is, I think you're right. My only problem with anything you said is that the Cowboys are playing football and they don't play defense. Like they have improved their defensive front, don't get me wrong, by grabbing Quinnen Williams. I think that's a huge step up. But I don't think that solves the problem of like, what do the Cowboys do with AJ Brown? I would honestly think AJ Brown should go off this week. And when I say that, I mean, it's because the Eagles are going to run their 5 or 6 plays, which is slant, go, screen, whatever, and then run left and run right. But when they run those go routes for him, I'm cool with just chucking it to him every time because I think he will absolutely demolish whoever's out there and whoever's guarding him from the Cowboys.
I don't know if you've watched, but Devonta Smith is their wide receiver 1. He has looked much better than AJ Brown this year.
Everyone makes mistakes, and number 1 is not throwing it more to AJ Brown because he should be the one. I'm just kidding.
I just think that the offense is just not functional at this point, and it's just going to look ugly, and they're going to beat themselves. And they're totally fine winning this game like 17-13. It's whatever.
I just hate that so much. All right. Yeah. Next up, I am taking the Chiefs at Colts. Apologies, we did not have or it's the Colts at Chiefs. Sorry, my Chat GPT lied to us when I updated our beautiful screen document. Didn't have Eagles at Cowboys either listed, so that's why there was no screen sharing there. But anyways, over 50.5. After what just happened, I'm really hoping that the Chiefs come out and actually play football like they're supposed to. Patrick Mahomes doesn't miss people open downfield, and they can just hit the big plays and make things happen. And then as for the Colts, they're coming off a bye week. They are one of the best coached teams. I think they're going to come out with some, trickery. Well, not trickery, but just well-schemed plays to get big chunks. Maybe Alec Pierce sneaking down the field, or Michael Pittman with some big chunk plays. And then obviously Jonathan Taylor eating alive the Chiefs defense on the ground. So I think the only way the Chiefs can stop the Colts is if they overcommit to the run, and then that opens up the vertical passing game. So I am just in on this being a high-scoring game because these offenses have both looked great. The defenses have looked good, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's too much talent and too many playmakers for each of them to stop. While they are both good, I don't think they have the depth of players that they need in this matchup. So buying into Patrick Mahomes' rebound and then the Colts off the bye to just keep putting up points in a game that I think both teams, Colts are competing for that 1 seed, big game for them, and then Chiefs need to not lose anymore. So I really hope that they come out and play, more aggressive football.
Yeah, I think that the Colts cannot play ball control offense. And it's like not a bad problem to have. It's like, oh, we get chunk plays and our run sets up our pass really well for more down the field. And I think that doesn't play well with them against the Chiefs. The Chiefs, you can do it a bit, but if the Colts start scoring, the Chiefs will keep up with them. So I actually really like that play.
50.5 is a lot of points.
It's a big number, but
the Chiefs have got to start hitting chunk plays. That's the bottom line. Like Rashee Rice can't be 6 catches, 38 yards his whole, this season. And Xavier Worthy, you're too fast to not make a good play go long. So it's killing me, dude. Xavier Worthy has been one of the guys I've been sitting on like 100 plus yards every week. It's like 12-1 odds. I'm like, yeah, of course he's going to hit it eventually. Still waiting. All right. Next up, Jags at Cardinals. You have Cardinals plus 2.5.
And plus 2.5 does not sound as good as 3. And I really hope to get a 3 at some point this week. But this has a lot to do with I think the Jags are overrated. That's all there is. They played a really good game against the Chargers, and I just don't think that's the team that they're going to put out there. I think they have huge deficits on offense, and it's hidden well behind a good run game. And more so, I just think that the Cardinal, it's a letdown spot. The Jags they really didn't even play a second half. And the Cardinals, I mean, they were playing against air in the second half. How often do you get completely blown out and your quarterback completes 47 passes and has 400 something yards? Just bizarre. But after just coming off of a blowout win and then a blowout loss, I think the Cardinals just rebound a little bit better. And I think that their offense just looks much, much better with Jacoby Brissett. So, and it's crazy. They're down a bunch of running backs. They were down Marvin Harrison Jr. And they're like, we can still move the ball up and down the field, and a lot of red zone turnovers kind of killed their game against the 49ers, as well as the 49ers offense. But the Jags are not that. The Jags are not the 49ers offense. And it'll show if they need Trevor Lawrence to pass, he'll make a mistake. And so I'm going with the not so fun upset for the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm over here saying Jags are overrated, but I can't pick them in this game. And it's really like just seeing those red zone turnovers just crushed me for wanting to believe in the Cardinals. I also just hate their coaching staff, but that's a different problem for me. All right, going on. Last pick I have Bears -3 at home against the Steelers. And here's the thing. If I'm going to say the Steelers are overrated, like the Bears are overrated, it's 100% for sure. They're 7-3. They're not that good. They have a hard schedule going down the road. I feel like they're going to be a team that limps into the playoffs going like 2 and what would that be? 2 or 3 and like 4 or 5 to end the year, whatever the math works out to be for wins and losses. 10-7 is where they will end up, and they will have a wild card playoff spot. They have been so lucky to get where they are, but so have the Steelers. And I just think the Bears are going to outcoach the Steelers in this one. This is not a Tomlin spot. Tomlin spots are at home as an underdog against teams that are way better than him. The Bears aren't way better than him. They're going to be maybe playing Mason Rudolph, and the Bears defense, we've said the stats here suck. But that EPA per play at 18th, like, why is it so good? Because they force turnovers better than anyone. And that's how they got the Vikings last week. That's how they've won their games previously. And I think it's what's going to happen here again. They're just going to copycat what everyone else has done to stop the Steelers. Take every defensive back you have, put it on DK Metcalf, let anyone else try to play football because they can't. And then offensively, the Bears' rushing attack has been great. But all right. Just a minor detour. I'm going to insult the Bears, even though I'm picking them. The Bears have spent their first pick last year, their 8th pick, I think, for their receiver, their quarterback. They spent like $100 million between DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, and then a first pick this year and a second pick this year on Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. Yet, I still think their offense can't throw the ball well. And it doesn't matter in this game because the Steelers aren't going to score. I think the Bears run out the clock to begin with. So just under might be an alternative play here. But it really annoys me when a team puts that many resources into their passing game and it's just unsuccessful. So Bears -3. I even insulted the Bears in this one, but I'm still picking them because I think the Steelers are that bad.
I really love the Steelers receiving options. But I mean, I like Cole Kmet. I love Colston Loveland. Love Roma Dunze. I like DJ Moore. I mean, those are some weapons out there.
Just going to edit that for you and put Bears in your mouth instead of Steelers, because I was like, there's no way he means Steelers because that's what you said when you started. And then you referenced the Bears players.
But man,
anyways,
they are just, I can't watch Caleb Williams, man. It's just rough. I don't know. But I mean, you're putting Mason Rudolph in against a team that can make turnovers, and it's so rough. Like this should be a game where the Steelers defense makes Caleb Williams make mistakes and makes him look stupid, and it's just not that Steelers team anymore. So ugly game. I'm not watching it. I'm just staying away.
The funny thing is, it's like, I would love to do the under, right? Just a good alternative. Let these teams like grind and beat it out, but you can't, because like, turnovers might flip this into like a high scoring game for no reason.
The Bears won a game. The Bears won a game this year, 47-42. You just can't do it.
They lost a game like 50-28. All right, 5 games we have not talked about. No picks. Let's see what they are. Honestly, they're huge spreads. So let's just take a look. Bills at Texans is number 1. Or, yeah, I think it's at Texans. I could be wrong on the order. We'll see if ChatGPT got it right. CJ Stroud is out. My fantasy team highly depends on the Texans being successful. I have Woody Marks and Nico Collins. But the Texans defense, absolutely legit, monstrous. The Bills don't have a real receiver. I don't know who Shavers is. Like, I saw his name pop up.
I don't know where it came from.
Dude, he had like 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. It's like and then Gabe Davis is playing meaningful snaps. They have done so much to find so many crappy receiving options, and now they're recycling. Like, they've gone through the list of available players, and they've started to get their players back. But Josh Allen is a superhero. It is hard to bet against him, and then it's hard against bet the under in Bills games, because like, the Bills can easily put up 30 and then coast in the end and let the other team score 3 touchdowns without caring, because that's what they do. So just staying away. I am actually very excited that this is a Thursday night game, though. Solid standalone game in the middle of the week.
You know, I still have to keep reminding myself, I'm like, this is the Bills team that got completely embarrassed by the Atlanta Falcons. Every time the Falcons keep looking worse and worse. But, I mean, the Texans defense is good. Like, I could see like Josh Allen just being slow, kind of struggling, but also just being up in this game where they don't need to like come back, and he doesn't need to score 14 or 21 points in the fourth quarter, because he probably would if he needs to. But I was interested in the under. I not gonna do it, but could just be a kind of an ugly game, but thank God Josh Allen's out there.
I will say Davis Mills has been surprisingly much better than I thought he would be as quarterback for the Texans. Over 250 yards each game, but he hasn't been asked to do that much for like the first 3 quarters. But then when his team needs it, he starts wheeling and dealing. So we'll see if that can continue. All right, next up, Seahawks at Titans. I'm comfortable with just saying I don't care about this game. I think if I had to make a pick, it'd be Seahawks -13.5, because this is the game. They stomp on people. The Titans, they're a little bit frisky for how bad they are.
You know, they're just looking to sneak in another one this year. You know, Cam Ward's hoping to stay alive against the Seahawks defense. It's just 13.5 is a large number. That's all there is to it. Definitely like Seattle, and especially coming off a game where Darnold threw 4 interceptions. He's like, I got to do something. So don't hate it, but it's going to be a one-sided affair.
Next up, Patriots at Bengals. Now, I've seen a lot of people be like, dude, this is a trap game for the Patriots. And I'm just like, what's the trap? Jamar Chase is out now. Like the Flacco, I know they have a worse pass defense, but now they got Christian Gonzalez back, and he's going to take away T. Higgins. Like, are you scared of Mitchell Tinsley? And then on offense, like, oh, you're playing the Bengals defense. Drake may have 50. I got like, I don't know. I haven't thought about this game too much because it's still early in the week, and I'm still trying to process the Jamar Chase news. But it seems like this game should be a one where the Patriots, just run away with it and never look back.
They've definitely done that where the defense starts like capitalizing on some mistakes in the second half, and they really just start winning these games like 30 to like 14 or 30 to 7, something like that. But Jamar Chase, I think he's disputing the suspension. I'm not sure, and I don't know if that'll like if he'll be able to play or not. So obviously that makes a big impact. But no, I mean, we've seen it all year. Like Flacco's fun to watch, but the magic starts to fizzle. Hopefully, there's a little bit left by the time that Joe Burrow comes back.
All right, next up, it says Ravens at Jets, but it's really Jets at Ravens. Ignore the typos. Justin Fields is officially out as the Jets quarterback. They got Tyrod Taylor coming in. Honestly, don't care who's throwing the ball as long as Garrett Wilson isn't on the field. This offense is a complete joke. Absolutely nothing exciting about it. Third in rush yards per attempt is garbage because that's just Justin Fields padding the numbers. As for the Ravens, I picked up their fantasy defense because I saw the stretch of games coming. I'm very excited. I think the Ravens come out, and I do think we get the Derrick Henry game. Of the Jets gave away Quinnen Williams. They aren't great against the run, and I think Derrick Henry comes out and does the 150 and 2 touchdowns kind of thing. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I did say that the Ravens are overrated. I did not mention that the Jets are just a skeleton of themselves after trading away their whole defense. Yes, the Ravens need to start clicking together, and why not against the Jets? This is a perfect like tune-up game for a good team it just hasn't shown it just yet. So yes, Derrick Henry hasn't had that 200-yard 2-touchdown game yet this year. Why not? 13.5 is a big number, and I could see the Jets just kind of like the Ravens just kind of like toying with them and just not playing like the best game. But no, man, it's hard. It's hard to like look and be like, why not? It's minus 13.5. The Jets haven't played completely awful in their 2 games since.
No, they've
yeah. That stops eventually, though. Coming from a Browns fan, I tell you, that stops.
All right, last game. This one, it is Falcons at Saints again. Typos, thanks to ChatGPT. Man, Saints minus 1.5 seems really tempting here. Ken is slowly talked me into the anti-Kirk Cousins train. Like, quarterback TV show has me hooked on. I love the guy, but slowly getting more and more into like, man, it's just not there. He doesn't have an arm. He doesn't have legs. He's going like just can't throw, can't move. And the Saints, I like Kellen Moore as a head coach. I really hope they don't do something crazy like get rid of him. I think he took over a team in the worst cap situation with a mixed bag of like aging players that are expensive and you can't do anything with. And then the worst quarterback situation, second worst quarterback situation in the NFL, Rattler and Shaw or whatever his name is. He's made the team play competitive games when they shouldn't be playing competitive at all. So I love the Saints, and I like the Saints and what they have done this year. And it's just hard for me to say, hey, the Falcons, like what like I saw that Bijan might continue to get less and less attention and love in the offense. So moving away from the best players, Drake London might be it's looking like he's out. So yeah, I'm talking myself into Saints minus 1.5 right now. Can you talk me out?
No, I almost picked the Saints. The only thing is, it's like every once in a while, these like aging quarterbacks will just like have their one like last like hurrah game, and like Kirk Cousins needs that because he's looked bad. I mean, ever since they benched him when they were like in the playoff race last year, they're just like, dude just hasn't had it. I was like, another year coming off this Achilles, maybe he'll be able to, you know, push off that leg and, you know, move a little bit. And it's like, nope, it's actually getting worse. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but like he's really quickly like turned. I know it's Falcons, but I'm going to say he turned into Matt Ryan with the Colts, not MVP Matt Ryan with the Falcons. But it just looks like guy, he kind of knows where to go with the ball, but just it's just missing. Everything's slow from his movement to his throw. And I mean, between Penix being out, London being out, they're still down a bunch of offensive linemen. Like this offense just slowly like fell apart. They put a whole bunch of money and draft picks into their pass rushers, and they're like, oh, we still can't really do that. It just does not look great. It's hard to get behind the Saints when they're doing such a good job of losing. You know, they're a team that I think they are better than their record like shows, but like they're also like, hey, we could use one of these draft picks, so maybe easy on the W's. We already beat one divisional opponent this year. Easy. What are you trying to do?
All right, with that, we have talked about every game on the upcoming slate. Let me hit the stop sharing button instead of the stop recording button. All right, please like, comment, and subscribe before I forget to say that again. Ken, anything else you want to discuss?
No, I think we're good. I still have a JJ Watt card I'm trying to get rid of. So
that's on me for not promoting better.
We never mentioned it.
So I listened to our show last week. I just got one thing, and I listened to the analytics section that I'm sure no one even got to because I edited it and I put it at the very end.
Jeez.
I saved some people a lot of time, but since we're at the end of the show again, I'm just gonna throw it out there. One of the things I didn't say is I focused on stats, like looking at lots of repetitions, targeting the mean 3-point shot in the NBA was the highlight. I forgot to mention Kyle Shanahan doing a great shot of, and Kyle Shanahan's not the only one. Sean McVay does it. Matt LaFleur does it to an extent. It's why he's been successful as a head coach. But you run a lot of plays that aren't good and you know aren't going to be successful because they set up the plays later in the game. So like running the ball, Josh Jacobs into the line of scrimmage. And I know math says play action does not get better the more you run the ball at the line of scrimmage. But I think you can manipulate defenses with setting up the same look and getting them to expect the same thing to happen. And George Kittle has said this, where he's like, yeah, dude, we run plays that we know aren't going to work to set up the play in the third and fourth quarter that we know are going to be successful. All that to say, analytics in the NFL, hard to apply because you're always doing the high repetition thing and hoping to like, hey, every play I run, I'm going to get a little bit better and a little bit closer to success, when really what you need is the one big play to swing the game in your favor. And last week I used the Jags as an example when they had a pick six. Here I'm using it as instead it's the offense is setting up their 60-yard touchdown or 30, 40-yard chunk play that gets them into the red zone, makes the drive easier than it should be. So one of the ways analytics fails is telling you to do the same thing over and over again because it's the right decision to make, when sometimes you do have to make the wrong decisions to set up the one or two right decisions you actually need. And in the NFL, it's unique because of the few runs you get.
That's chess, not checkers out here, boys.
There you go. That's my long rant.
The one thing that it drives me nuts when people talk about, but they're like, you know, if you took away the 6 like biggest plays of the game, then it's like, because you see it all the time where a team can dominate. Like I hate it when a team like feels like they dominated like time of possession and just overall everything for the first half, but they kicked 3 field goals. And 3 field goals in one half, like 3 long drives can be a lot. The other team comes down and scores a touchdown before half and it's 9-7. And you go, nah, that's, you know, after one half of dominating a game, this is anyone's game going into the second half. So.
I mean, you just described the Seahawks game. Like last week, the Seahawks had 4 field goals. but they also had 2 interceptions, the 2 big plays that swung it, and then the Rams had 2 touchdowns instead of field goals. So like just those couple big plays were the difference. It was the touchdowns. The Kyron Williams had a big run on like the very first drive that made it a touchdown scoring drive instead of a field goal settling drive. So it's like, yeah, dude, the NFL has that slight wrinkle where like you don't have a lot of opportunities to score all the time. You have like you get like 8 drives in a game, and realistically 3 or 4 are going to be scoring drives because the defense is just going to guess right on first down, and you're going to get sacked or you're going to do something stupid and you're not going to be able to recover.
Unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you just get these like ghost pass interference calls, man.
Wow. Talking about the refs for the
I'm
Eagles
so
instead
mad
of the
about
Chiefs
it.
for once. Anyways. All right, there you go. Covered it up with the analytics nerd segment at the very end. I'm going to start dropping random things like that in at the very end because by now everyone's asleep.
Yes, thank you for still being here.
All right. I'll see you.